10D, we're going to look at multiple regression. So in this class and in other math classes, you've done linear regression, where we're looking at two variables and what that scatter plot looks like, and do the points make a line. In this one, multiple regression means we're looking at more than one explanatory or independent variable. Okay, so there's two or three things that we want to see how they affect those y values. All right, the equation looks like this: y equals a, and then we have all our different x's. So ax1 plus bx2 plus cx3. There might be a dx4, ex5. It just depends on how many different variables you're looking at. It might just be a and b. Again, the x1, x2, x3 are the different explanatory variables. And then there's always a constant at the end. Okay, so there might be 3, there might be 2, might be 4. It can be all different kinds of numbers. Okay, so the example we're going to look at, we have a researcher wants to determine how employees' salaries are related to length of employment, previous experience, and education. So we have 3 different variables that we're looking at: length of employment, previous experience, and education. And we want to see how those 3 things together affect your salary. Okay, so here we have some data. All right, our 8 employees and all of that information: their length of employment, their experience, and their education, and then their salary. Okay, so the steps are, we are going to use Desmos like we've been doing. And so the first thing I need to do in Desmos is to make a table. So I click that plus sign and click table. All right, now x1, y1, that's what we've been using up until this point. Okay, but we have, let's look at 1, 2, 3. We have x1, x2, and x3 before we get to y1. So what I'm going to do in Desmos, this is x1, this is fine. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to change this to x2. And then I'm going to click over here because I also need an x3. And then the last column that I need is y1. So we're always going to put the y's at the end. All right. And so we have all of the, however many x's we have, however many explanatory variables, and then y1 at the end. Okay. And so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in these numbers in the table. All right, so I have the values typed in for x1, x2, x3, and y1. Okay, so I just typed this table from our notes into Desmos. Okay, then our next step is going to be to type the equation that we need. Okay, so it's always y1 and then the little squiggly, okay, and then as many x's as you have. And just use a different letter every time. So the letters don't really matter. Like I could start at R. I could go R, S, T. It just has to be a different letter for each X variable. Okay. So in this one, because I have X1, X2, X3, that's what I'm going to need. So Y1 squiggly. I need x1, so I'm just going to use a. So ax1 plus bx2 plus cx3. All right, and then I need a constant, so I'm just going to use the next letter, which is d. Okay, and just like we did with our linear regression, Desmos gives us numbers for a, b, c, and d that we could plug into that equation. So if I'm going to write the equation here, it's going to be y equals a, so 364.12, 0.41. We're going to round to 2 decimal places, so 0.41 x1. All right, because that's for a. And then b is going to be 227.62, so plus 227.62 x2, because that was for the second explanatory variable. And then c is going to be 266.94, so plus 266.94 x3. And then my constant is 49,764.4. So 49,764.4. Okay, so just like we did with linear regression, I take the numbers that Desmos gives me and I plug them into the equation. So ax1 plus bx2 plus cx3 plus d. Okay, and then just like we did with linear regression, you can plug different numbers in. All right, so I might give you values for x1, x2, x3 and ask you to predict the y value. It's the same thing that we did with linear regression. There's just some extra terms in there. All right, and that is it for 10D.